Hi, and welcome back to the Met Blue podcast. We are now on season 3, in full HD now as well. Bringing this to you probably via YouTube. We'll find that one out later. And we are here with Mr. Dave Cronen, our main man who's unfortunately left us. How dare he?
But it's still here in spirit.
He's still here in spirit. Anyway, who are you? What do you do?
I am. Well, it's a sort of half-hour question itself, really. I was lecturing up until the last academic year, and then I slowly sort of got back into doing management because I missed it, and I thought I was getting a little bit irrelevant to my studies, my teaching of actually talking about management where I hadn't been in it for a few years. So I did that, and I just sort of felt a bit burnt out from lecturing, mainly because of COVID, really. That I think that was tough for everyone, and wanted a bit of a new challenge. So I've sort of gone back into managing. I'm starting up a mentoring management program, which I'm trying to get off the ground at the moment. I've started up a record label because I'm insane, and I'm just doing bits and pieces. You know, I'm still got contact with ACM. I'm doing some work for a company called Big Creative Education in Walthamstow on apprenticeship training, and other bits and pieces like that, really. So yes, I'd like to call myself an artist manager and a record label and everything else, really.
Everything. Fingers in all the pies. So, as the previous leader of Met Blue, what do you think about us hooligans running it now?
Well, I think that's what it's meant to be there for, really. Always from the start of by the students for the students. So I think that's really, I think it's really important. There's no, you know, we all make mistakes, you know, so doing them at that level, you learn from the mistakes. So there's no danger in putting it in students' hands or anyone's hands, really, because like anyone can start a record label. I think that the blend, I like the blend between us running the meetings or getting everyone involved. I thought that was really good, but I like the fact that Jamie and I sort of stood back, especially when there were problems. I really like that. Like Jamie, and I'm looking at him now off camera. Like when there was a problem, we go, don't do anything. Like just let them solve it, and they did, and it was really good. So I think that it, like, Met Blue is serving its purpose really with the students running it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity as well. I don't think a lot of students realise how good an opportunity it is, especially from a business perspective.
Yeah, my disappointment with Met Blue is the fact that it should be bigger than it is. It should be, I don't think it's anyone's fault. It's just a case of it's easily to be distracted or not lose interest, but you've got to have that consistent. If you're running a label, you have to turn up every day. And with a label, you can't really sort of dip in and dip out. And I did sort of find that with some of the sort of engagement groups, that people were there who were the core, and then some people would sort of float in, float out, and there was no consistency there. So I would like it to be more curriculum driven in the future, which is ACM's intention anyway. But yeah, I really miss it, actually. I just I learnt a lot from it, you know, about music and the way that people work with each other, and I hope that students sort of got enough out of it as well, really.
Yeah. In regards to your experiences recently, how would you say gig cancellations are dealt with?
Well, yeah, we've I think it's like everything in life at the moment. Like, you'll just get a slap in the face, and you've got to deal with it. There's nothing you can do about it. You've just got to be as pragmatic about it as possible. Deal with it. Do damage limitation. See if you can reschedule it, and start all over again. Really, it's that reset, pressing the reset button and doing it. I think that there's some tours or shows being cancelled where it's been used as an excuse, or the health situation has been used as an excuse. So yeah, there's a fine line there, but yeah, it's just, you know, you get on and deal with it. Like, we had it recently with the Bug Club going out on tour with Pit Blom, where the first 4 dates were cancelled the day before because there was mental health problems with like one of the main bands, and everyone was like, yeah, okay, like we can deal with that, we can work with it, they made the right call on it, so we just go away and rebook the hotel and look at the logistics for it. So it is what it is, really.
And is that where insurance would play a part in that as well?
Not at our level, because we're just not on the fees to justify insurance. But if with the bands that I've worked with, the bigger bands, if it was like we worked with a band called Air Traffic, and I had a sneaky feeling that a French festival wasn't going to happen, so I stuck cancellation insurance on it, and lo and behold, it didn't happen, and we sort of lucked out there. So again, it's down to budget. When you're talking about insurance costs money, so it's like, do we need, you'll need travel insurance if you're going abroad, because if you miss your flight or something happens, then it covers that. There's the cancellation insurance. We had one of our bands that were at the Bataclan, the French shooting disaster, and luckily he left the venue 5 minutes before the shooting happened. But after that, like, we had to go back to our insurance and just say, look, do we need terrorism insurance as well? Which is a mad conversation to have, but you've got to look at it. So I think at our level, the insurance, that maybe a little bit of public indemnity insurance, definitely sort of breakdown cover insurance and stuff like that, but we're only at that smaller level. But the bigger you get, the more that sort of comes into play, really.
And in terms of backup plans, when you get to a venue and if you found the attendance was lower than expected, what would be your first plan to react to that?
Well, we always know what we're turning up to ticket-wise. We work with the promoters and the agent on what the anticipated tickets are. You look at ticket sales patterns as well, and they differ from city to city, region to region. London, will have a different pattern of ticket sales, but also you'll see spikes in ticket sales when people get paid at the end of the month. That Thursday, normally there's a spike there. So there's that, but we always know what we're walking into. The only thing that we don't know at the moment is the non-attendees, really. It used to be 8% pre-COVID, and now it's like 25-30%. So there will be some gaps, but as long as you explain that to the band, and bands should be in a position where if there's only one person in the room, they still need to play to that person, because they've paid good money to sort of get in there, really. So yeah, we always keep an eye on it, and we've had some awful situations where we've been in an empty room, and it's just like, and I'm embarrassed about it, and I've got to G up the band and sort of get them to be in the right mindset for it, and that's quite hard sometimes.
But from a band's perspective, looking for a management company, what would you say are the things to avoid, or red flags?
People like me. That's a good question. I think it's that, I always talk about it, the team element. If that person can come in and be a team player and listen and work and offer ideas and creative ideas and roll up their sleeves. As a manager, we do everything. We do all the crappy jobs. We do the good jobs as well. And we were talking about earlier today, like giving younger people, more opportunities to come in and sort of fill that role, really. I think that's really important. I think, like a lot of areas of the industry, established management isn't what it used to be, and there's easier ways of, we're sitting in a studio which has got a desk worth hundreds of thousands of pounds, but do you really need that desk to sort of put music into the onto Spotify or into the charts at the moment? Like, you don't. And you could probably have that sort of same analogy for management, really. Like, you don't need a big name manager, but you need someone who will fight for you, understands you, and will sort of go out of their way to work towards what they believe, really. So I think that's probably the best way to answer that.
And I know you mentioned in the masterclass in some detail about how the last year and a half has affected everyone, but what's your experience been with the pandemic in terms of it affecting the music industry?
I think it's sort of wheedled out the people who needed to go, or majority of them. I think it's made people reflect on what they do and how they do it and the industry that we've got. I think corporate companies, you look at Live Nation and the battering they took, you look at people like Red Light Management who lost 80% of their income almost overnight, and where's your contingency for that? There isn't one. So Live Nation let people go, the big booking agents let people go, the management companies let people go, and they had no money to come in because they sort of fell in the cracks on the support that people were getting from the government. So I think I've realised that people should be less reliant on corporate companies, and the boutique management company or the boutique record label, promoters, so booking agents, all of that. You can be at that level and represent some big bands. I know a lot of people. We had a guy called Matt Hanna at ACM who worked with us for a term, and he was working at ATC Live, and they let him go, and he took 14 of his 15 roster, and he's making a nice little business out of it. So self-sufficiency, you can do it. It's
especially
tough.
in today's day and age of technology that's on hand.
Yeah, and like budget-wise, going into management, I've budgeted to take no money for the first year, and I was laughing to Matt where I'm currently on target to take that. But the thing is, you can get lucky and something will come in overnight, and that'll be good. But if you build towards it, you can build a decent living out of it. And I can't be a full-time manager because I've got to do other jobs to sort of sustain sort of my lifestyle and things like that. But there will be a point where if I'm doing it 2 days a week at the moment, hopefully in a couple of years I'll be 3 or 4 days a week, and I'll be sort of doing something more that I love doing, really.
And then on a bit of a lighter note, who would you say inspires you the most at the moment?
It can be artist, industry, professional.
Who do I really like at the moment? I saw a friend of mine the other day. She works in Nashville, someone called Hannah Dudley, and she's been doing digital social media marketing. She was at Warner's and EMI over here, and then she got married and moved to America, and she's probably one of the best digital marketers that I know. And I met up with her, I hadn't seen her for 4 years, and we've been WhatsApping a load, and she inspired. I got up early today to sign up to all the sort of digital marketing blogs and things like that. So she's inspiring me at the moment. Mark Riley, the DJ on Six Music, always inspires me with new bands. But when I was at ACM, it was the students who inspired me, which sounds like a cliche, but it's really, the relationship that we had. I loved it, and I ideally miss it, and that day-to-day connection and banter and discovering new bands, new software, new social media. I miss that, but I'm working with creative bands again, and that's just brilliant. I've got Wesley Gonzalez, who's so DIY. He's printing his own T-shirts. He's going at that level, and so he's bought all the gear to learn how to do silkscreen printing and stuff like that. And I love that. The sort of the people that I work around inspire me a lot and get me up in the morning, mostly.
So on that note, what's the best piece of advice you've been given that you would give to others?
Communicate when you fuck up. Put your hand up and admit fuck up. Don't do fuck up again. Learn from fuck up. You might have to edit that. Hopefully you won't. I think it's a communication thing of it. It's just the thing that I found when doing tutorials at ACM, like people come in and say, "Oh, I want to be a record label." It's like, you've just started now. Like, just do it. And Rich Connell, as much as he swears, like his best piece of advice I know is like, just turn up. If there's something going on, just turn up, because something will come out of that. If you don't go to that networking event at Tile Yard, then you'll miss out. Just turn up, and you'll have a conversation with someone where it might be relevant in 3 months' time, but it will sort of create that smile. Oh yeah, I met that person. So yeah, just turn up I'm nicking his advice, really.
So, as I always ask on the podcast, what's your useless party trick?
I can blow spit bubbles.
Please don't demonstrate
No,
that.
I was just getting
Please.
one ready there, actually. Yeah, that's my party trick. Yeah.
Okay. So, what I want you to do next is, can you take your phone out and show me the last thing you played?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's good.
It'd be hella embarrassing, this one.
I think it... Oh, no. On Apple... Oh, what's that? Oh, no. On Apple, I'm playing Hex Induction Hour by The Fall. I'm obsessed with The Fall. I go through this... I see my glasses are up. I go through this obsession with The Fall every few years. And I've been playing a lot of their old albums a lot, and I'm reading a book called The Fallen. So Hex Induction Hour, and I'm playing the Parquet Course album twice a day at the moment, which I think is out next week. But
Can we have some evidence to the camera that that's what you've been playing? You're not just making it up. There it is.
But yeah, Hex by The Fall, great album, thoroughly recommended.
So what's coming up next for Dave?
Well, on the band front, we've got Wesley Gonzalez single out at the moment, and a tour coming up with the Young Knives through November and December. His album's out on March the 18th on Moshi Moshi Records, so we're working towards that and building the team on that. We've just taken on a booking agent, which is great news, so I don't have to do that anymore. The Bug Club go from strength to strength, like 6 music playlist. UK tour in December, and then we're going to be doing some bigger dates next year, working towards an album. Taking on a new band called Average Life Complaints. 3 of them are ACM alumni, and a radio plugger sort of put me onto them and just said, you've got to take this band on. And then I realised who they were. It's like, and then the 4th member of the band is Albert Jury, who's Ian Jury's son, and I'm a massive Ian Jury fan. And I used to manage Baxter Jury, and I said to Albert that I did an awful job on Baxter, so I'm going to try and redeem myself on this band. So that's that on the management front. On the record label, we started up a record label and got a Daniel Johnston album coming out at some point next year. I'm going over to Texas in March to meet the family and the manager and see all the archive and wrap that all up. So that's good. That'll keep me busy. And then hopefully doing more stuff with ACM, doing like apprentice lecturing, and just sort of trying to keep my hand in on academia a little bit, but the sort of the creative music industry, like any opportunity really, is the long-winded answer to that.
Take on anything.
Yeah. I haven't sort of defined what I am yet really, so, and I'm quite happy with that. I'd like to be a full-time manager, but I'd rather have people working with me, because I don't want to go out on the road. You know, I'll do the meetings and things like that, but there's no need for me to be ever to go on a tour bus ever again. It's a waste of a bunk, and I'd want someone who'd be excited to be sleeping in a coffin for 2 weeks rather than me who's going to be moaning about it and missing his runs. So I'd like to, the management mentoring thing is the key, which will go in line with the management company and the record label. Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, sounds like you've definitely got your hands full for a while.
Yeah, it's weird because like having I had a full-time job at ACM, and it sort of, it took up a lot of time, and you know, the travelling was like 3 to 4 hours a day sometimes, obviously apart from COVID. So it's weird sometimes where you can wake up in the morning, like this morning, just I say I'm going to have half an hour reading digital marketing blogs and learn something from it and things like that. So I've got that opportunity now. I'm on far less money than I was, but I'm not being disrespectful to ACM, but I'm a lot happier because I feel more creative than I have been over the past 4 or 5 years, really.
And you've got the time to do what you want to do.
Yeah, it's my agenda now, really, and there's the urgency there where I've got to bring money in, but I've been doing this long enough, so I know that I'll get a lucky break at some point, and something will come in and will sort of take me on to the next thing, really. So yeah.
Well, we want to thank you very much for joining us here today.
No, it's a pleasure. No, I love the podcast I do, I think is, you know, one of the sort of many things that ACM should be proud of, and just say, I know that we've had many conversations about it, like keep it going, because I think it's great experience for the people who are working with it and sort of the people who are putting it together, but as a sort of, you know, a brand for ACM, and the way that the people that you're talking about from the industry getting involved from so many different aspects of the industry, I think these people need to be heard, really, so keep it up.
And there's lots of updates to come,
Yeah,
more episodes.
Yeah, watch this space.
Watch this space and all that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, to all those watching and listening, thank you for joining us, and we will see you on our next episode.